I'm Carrie, and this is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Today is Wednesday, September 20th. All right, I'm playing with the lighting. I got my ring light up. It's dark outside. I got to prepare so I can record, in the winter. So the lighting, hopefully it's half decent. Hopefully I've improved the microphone a little bit. I would rather have the lighting be just a little bit too dark, and I need to lighten it up a little bit than have it be too bright and have that light hit your eyes, because that's really just not visually comfortable. So bear with me. Hopefully this will look good. Sometimes what I see on my camera isn't always the way it comes out on TV, but we're going to give it a shot. All right. Okay, so you may wonder, what does a retirement video from 11 years ago have to do with a student loan debt? Well, let me tell you something. It has everything to do with it. And the things we can learn from people are just as relevant 11 years ago as they are today. And if you don't believe me, let me give you a fine example. I teach language arts. It does not matter what generation I teach it to. It does not matter what time period, what year, or anything else. Okay? If I'm teaching you conjugated verbs, if I'm teaching you compound, complex sentences, the information is the same. All right? Maybe the teaching style, it changes a little bit, but as far as teaching you compound, complex sentences, run-ons, fragments, all of that wonderful stuff, the information is the same. So that's why I'm doing this. If there is such a thing as a video that could be called a personal scared straight video, that that video from teenagers, it came out a long time ago. It's been a while, but probably around 20 years ago, maybe even 30. Okay, but it was called Scared Straight. And it was basically taking unruly teens and introducing them to really tough prisoners and scaring them straight. I would have to say that this was my Scared Straight video. And this is about a couple that is on the cusp. Technically should probably already be retired, but they're definitely on the cusp of retirement with absolutely nothing saved and an absolute denial and the inability to be able to face their debt. And what really happened was, even though this video is 11 years old, I first saw it about 2 years ago. And this is before I started a Student Loan Chit-Chat channel and all of that stuff. But what really got to me was I realized that if I was not careful, that couple in the video, it doesn't matter if you're married or not, but this video is about a couple, okay? It made me realize that could be me. And it brought back to mind what my mother years ago told me. And I'm a third generation teacher, so she was a retired teacher, my late mom. And she said to me, we have friends that have lived a really nice lifestyle. They've gone on lots and lots of expensive vacations. She said they'd wear, lots and lots of expensive clothes. But she goes, Carrie, when it came to retirement, they had nothing because they had spent it all. I've never forgotten that, and when I saw this video, probably about, I'm going to say 2-3 years ago, I saw it before I got my condo. So I know that. I've been in my condo since 2020. But I remember watching it and going, I'm actually scared. It was truly my Scared Straight video. And it made me realize that if I didn't do something and I kept living in denial, okay, I don't think I lived in denial so much. I've always kind of known what my bills were, but it was really having a strategy and a plan to pay them off, okay? And I really came to realize that this could be anybody. This couple could be anybody. But one thing for sure, I didn't want it to be me. All right. So let's do the video, and I'll do a commentary throughout. Of course, the video will be linked in the description box, so you can watch it in full. It's actually a very short video. It's 3 minutes, but leave it to me to talk enough. I'll probably be able to make it 30. All right. Peace. All right. I'll see you on the other side of the video after the commentary as well. All right. Let's go ahead and get started.
What's 60 supposed to be? Like, what are you supposed to be doing at 60?
Thinking about retirement.
Good one. Yes, you should be.
Yeah.
Again, the video will be in the description box. I'm willing to bet that most people know what they should be doing with their finances, even as it relates to retirement. I don't really think that's something that, we need to learn strategies and, money management. I think most people can confidently say, probably in their 20s, I knew it even in my 20s, okay, that you should save for retirement. That's a discussion that should happen very early in life.
In many ways, Anita Shindak has had a rich, rewarding life, except when it comes to money, and especially her retirement plan.
I don't have one.
I gotta hand it to her. She can just say it. She can just say, I don't have a retirement plan. Okay, I have to applaud her on that because as you'll see during this video, everything else seems to pretty much go wrong, but she can admit she doesn't have one. As I said in the opening, this was my scared straight video. And you'll notice the laughter and kind of the chuckle and kind of the, oh, well, you know, I don't have one. Does that kind of remind you of anything? Perhaps some student loan debt? Oh, yeah, I know I've got student loan debt. Yeah, I know I have it, but, you know, think about it. There's, in my opinion, there is a lot of connection between student loan debt, retirement debt, credit card debt, and the ability or inability to acknowledge them. Debt is debt, and I've said it before on this channel. It really doesn't matter what type of debt it is. Debt is debt. And she just admits she has no retirement plan.
It's just the truth.
Did you ever have one?
When we were younger, we thought, you know, we'd put money away for retirement, but it never happened.
Yeah.
I remember being told in my 20s it was important to save for retirement. I remember that very well. And I believe that I actually, when I first started working in Salem, I did have a little, I think it was a 401k, I'm almost positive it was, a little 401k, and I was only at like 25, 26, and I eventually cashed it out like 4 years later. And it's because when we're young, we really don't see the long-term benefit or value of being vested in a company. If I had to do it over again without getting too off topic on here, but it is about retirement. I left the newspaper that I was working for in Salem 1 year before I became vested. I did not have a concept of, you know, if I had just stayed 1 more year, even though all these years would have passed, I would have had a little bit of retirement. Now, honestly, after only, 4 or 5 years of being there, I probably would have been maybe all of the, $50, $100. But the bottom line is I didn't have an understanding of what being vested mean. And, the plan was, yeah, I'm going to save for retirement because I did start a retirement account, but then I let it go 4 years later. It's not like I had, thousands of dollars, probably only worth a few hundred. But it's the concept. It's understanding and recognizing the potential. I did not see that.
Day-to-day life. And
She jokes, sort of, about her...
Like I said, this is only a 3-minute video, but leave it to me to find every little thing to discuss. But really, I want to stop here. Take a look at this picture. What do you see? And do you see what I see? I see a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not going to judge. I mean, it's probably all judging at some point. Tell me that you can't do commentary without some sort of judgment. But let's say I'm not going to judge on a negative sense. I'm going to judge just more of a way to learn and to help people understand that you need to see, in my opinion, these signs early. Okay. I'm looking at this picture, a picture that I wouldn't have even thought twice about in my 20s, 30s, and possibly even 40s. At 56 years old, this picture, the background is what I'm looking at. I see a whole lot of stuff. Now then, let's say she had this retirement plan. Again, this video is 11 years old, but we can learn from it today, okay? And I think they're Canadian. Look at the background. If this background of the stuff, and we're not counting the photos on the wall, dismiss the photos, okay? But look at the, I don't know if you caught it earlier at the beginning of the clip. It appears to be there are like collector trucks and little metal collector things. I apologize, I don't really know what they are, but it looks like they collect stuff, okay? I'm looking at all this background and I'm like going, this is worth $5, and that's probably, this is a collection. For all I know, there's a couple $100 sitting there. We got some nice green foliage. Always good to have green foliage. Maybe they're fake. Okay. I know that fake green foliage is really expensive. I would love to have fake green foliage in my condo, but I'm like going $100 for fake green foliage, and that's inexpensive stuff. Okay, I'm looking at just all sorts of stuff, and in my head, okay, at 56 years old, a background picture I would have dismissed, even as early as 10, 15 years ago. I'm adding up in my head going, is this a snapshot? Is this background a snapshot representation of where the money has gone? So when someone says, I just don't know where all the money's gone over the years. Well, if this is one snapshot, one room filled with stuff, I'm willing to bet I know where the money has gone over the years. And again, no disrespect. This is her home, so we are not going to criticize that. Okay, it's her happy space. All right. I'm sure somebody could come into my happy space and look and go, okay, you just bought this, coffee table, for $800, and you bought this and this. But the difference is, and this is really important in my opinion, the difference is I have a plan. And hopefully the difference is you have a plan. But when you don't have a plan, all I'm doing is in my head, I'm mathematically adding up and going, wow, that's a lot of stuff. For someone who has absolutely no retirement plan planned out.
Her version of Freedom 55.
It's really quite scary when you think about it, because we're not youngins anymore.
Something I have learned, and I'm glad I didn't learn this lesson too late. I feel like at 56, knock on wood, I can go till 67, which, hopefully I should be able to do that, all things considered. I don't think retirement has to be scary. I think these, sometimes you get, oh my goodness, retirement's scary. Who is it scary for, though? Is it scary for the person that planned? Probably not. It might be something they're looking forward to. And I don't think retirement even has to be based on, how much money you made. Like you have to be wealthy. No. Okay? I don't think that retirement has to be scary so long as you can face your fears, face your debt, whatever they are, student loan debt, credit card debt, vehicle debt, whatever the debts are, okay? We convince ourselves that it has to be scary because we don't want to look at the debt. It's just like with student loans. I genuinely believe, I think from, the things that I've read about over the years, and I'm an avid news junkie, okay? I probably watch about 2 to 3 hours of news a day, especially during the summer, all right? Student loan debt isn't scary for everybody. There are people who take out student loan debt. They know exactly what they've taken out. They know the interest. They know how much the job is going to pay in relation, their starting wage in relation to the debt they're taking out. Yeah, they may have a 10-year haul, but they're like, okay, we got it. And they do it. And then they wash their hands and they're done. That doesn't have to be scary. What's scary is the student like me that was dumb and I took out $80,000. And I'll tell you something. I even had a realization. I don't ever remember actually watching the bill climb up. I literally do not recall, and it's not because it's been 20 years. I don't ever recall going, oh, the bill's at 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60, 70, 80. It was just like one day I said, I'm going to go to school, go get a couple master degrees, got a couple of master degrees, and then here's your $80,000, $85,000 student loan debt. Something to think about. That's scary. She should be scared. But retirement, if you plan, does not have to be scary. I'm convinced of that.
And I have no idea how we're going to retire.
Do you have an idea how you're going to retire? Do I have an idea? Yes, I do have an idea. And that is something I realized. Like I said, this was my scared straight video. Like every word coming out of her mouth, I was just like, please don't let this be me. But simply praying, please don't let it be me, on a wing and a prayer isn't going to work. Action must be behind the prayer of please don't let it be me.
Like we talked about before, I'm in Freedom 85, and there's never enough money to put away for retirement.
All right. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. There's never enough money to put away for retirement because I'd rather spend it on something else. There's never enough money to put away for retirement because I really don't like to sit and make a budget. There's never enough money to put away for retirement. Okay, the list goes on and on. And what I'm convinced of is there is enough money to put away for retirement. I have friends on all parts of the socioeconomic level. it's not, I am convinced putting away for retirement is less about what you make, and it's more about what you do with what you make. Does what you make have a plan? I have listened, I've been listening to the Dave Ramsey show, and I've done that for years. You've got people who are making $200,000 that are broke, and then you got people making, $40,000. They've got this account saved up and this account saved up. I am convinced it is not about the money you make as much and to a greater extent than it is, do you have a plan?
Anything like that, any RSPs or anything, it's just, things happen, life goes on, and here we are 60 and have no clue how we're going to retire.
Probably one of my favorite lines. Let that sink in. Life just goes on. Yeah, it does. And it can either go on with you making a plan, or you making no plan and just living day to day. Let that sink in. We have no plan. 60 just showed up. I've literally talked to people before that have said that they didn't think they need to save for retirement because they might be passed away by then. Okay. Or they don't need to save for retirement. Literally, these are conversations I've had. They don't need to save for retirement because basically, if they're not going to be passed away, they're going to be too old to do anything. So why, they'd rather spend the money now. Here's my rule. If I live longer than I think I'm going to live, I want to make sure I'm, comfortably taken care of to the best of my ability. And if I do pass away before I'm able to save it, I hope it goes to my family. And I can live with that too. I don't have to spend it.
While Shindak keeps up to date writing her journal, she's nowhere near as diligent with her finances.
Why? Why would a person choose to be more concerned about writing what they've done for the day? And looks like she's got a nice big table. She sit down writing out her daily journal, but not take the time to write out the retirement idea. Is it perhaps because there's a fear? There's a fear because she's nearing 60. There's a fear that it's too late. Now, it's my belief that, changing your ways is never too late. However, and I've said this in earlier videos, I do believe, if we want to be completely honest, I do believe it can be too late to reach the level of retirement comfort that you would like. So you can be, she could right now, she and her husband could, looking at the size of their house and stuff, I don't know the exact, square footage and all that, but just what I see, could they downsize that? Could they downsize their, space into half? In other words, she's spending so much time focusing on other things because they are more comfortable to deal with. It's more comfortable to sit down and write in your journal about what you did that day. And it's it's more uncomfortable to sit and she has to face that, what did she not do that day? Sometimes what you did not do that day is what needs to be paid attention to.
Over the decades, she and her husband have piled up credit card debt.
And once you get behind and stuff, it's so tough to get.
And let's just add up to the credit card debt. Now today we've got a lot of people in student loan debt over, 1 point something trillion in student loan debt. Credit card debt. I became debt free not too long ago, but I've been working on it for a few years, okay? And I can tell you that the 3 greatest things that kept me from being debt free, okay, or the 3 greatest things that helped me become debt free. 1, got rid of all my credit card debt. 2, had my student loan dismissed. I don't care if you pay it off, if it's forgiven, whatever, okay? And the 3rd thing was to make sure that my little condo, my little 840 square foot condo, was also paid off. Those 3 things have been game changers financially. Going into retirement with credit card debt and no retirement plan. What is it they say? If failure to plan is a plan to fail, something like that.
That's something else I'd like to say to the young people. Don't use credit cards. At all? At all. Maybe for emergencies.
I've used credit cards for emergencies, but I used it with a plan. Okay? Here she has no plan, So in her case, I would say she's probably better off not using the credit card. And I want you to notice throughout this video, there's a laughter that she has. It is that uncomfortable laughter. People who are in tune with their debt, they're at one and they're at Zen, okay, in their debt, we don't need to laugh. We don't, because we're too busy focusing. If you find that you're kind of laughing it off, you're laughing off your student loan debt, you're laughing off your credit card debt, ask yourself why you're laughing. Because something I've come to discover is it is no laughing matter. And I think she knows that. I'm sure it's no nerves and uncomfortableness, okay? I mean, it's hard to go on camera and divulge your financial information like this. So I have to commend her for being able to do this. But when you find that you cannot just have a discussion about your debt and that discussion turns into constant laughter and chuckle, that to me is kind of a sign that maybe you need to face that debt. Not that you need to face it more seriously. I mean, you clearly know about it, but it's a sign that you are not at peace in recognizing the debt and what needs to be done, that there might be kind of that denial laughter. That's what I kind of call it. It's the denial laughter. It's like, ha ha ha, yes, I know I'm carrying $75,000 in student loan bills. Okay?
As more Canadians reach what they thought would be their retirement age, many of them are realizing they're in trouble.
We've actually seen a huge growth in the number of people who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and surprisingly, even early 80s who come to us with financial difficulties.
So more seniors are still working.
Now, let me say this. I would be happy to work in education pretty much till I drop dead, because I absolutely love the field of education. However, with that said, I don't want to be forced to work past, 67, 68. I don't want to be forced to work because I failed to save for retirement. I want to be able to go, I'd like to work, 3-4 days a week, maybe work as a substitute, maybe work at the district office, whatever. I want to be able to voluntarily scale down my work as choice. Okay, I don't want to be forced to go to work, because you will get people and they'll be like, oh, I'm going to work just for forever and ever. Okay, after you've had your hip surgery, your back surgery, in my case, 2 knee surgeries with 2 knee replacements probably coming up in the near futures. Hopefully not too soon, but it's a reality. Okay, I don't want to be forced to work.
John Horspool retired officially from his career in construction last year. Now 65, he has his Canada pension and a small RRSP. But as you can see, he's still on the job.
I didn't have as much put away as I should have put away. I didn't think you needed it back 20 years ago.
Young people, this is why the adults in the room are trying to tell you to start putting away stuff now. Even just a few pennies. I look at, even at 56, at all the unexpected cash and stuff that I came through. Holy cow. I'm grateful that I've got 12 years to sort this whole thing out. I'm grateful that I have a teacher pension. I'm grateful I will have full Social Security. But man, I think to myself at times, I came so close to missing the 8 ball on this. Okay, I came so close. And I think to myself, I'm fortunate. I've got 12 years, okay? I have 12 years still that I can fix all this. And I still have time. And I'm using it very wisely. But man, I think to myself, even a 5-year loss, let's say I didn't get my act together, I was like, 61, 62. Now I'm really cutting down on time. So I know I'll be okay. But young people, the time goes so fast.
Wish I had, no.
So if you weren't working, what would your financial situation be?
Not too good.
But Horspool says he's not worried about when he really does have to stop working.
Yeah, I've got enough that'll keep me going.
Yeah.
I won't be living as lavish as I do right now, but I'll still be living good.
And let's talk about lavish living. I've got to be honest, I don't really follow the retirement videos that say you've got to travel and you have to be able to join an expensive golf club and all of this stuff, okay? I don't really, I don't think that has to be a part of your retirement plan. I never traveled much before I retired, so why when I retire do I all of a sudden need a $10,000 a year travel budget? I'm very happy. I'm kind of a homebody, I'm a Cancer, all right? travel would be great to go see family, but am I the type, and I know me, and what's important when you save for retirement is, save for your lifestyle, okay? I don't intend to be going to Cancun, every summer. I don't intend to globetrot around the world when I retire. I didn't do it before. I really don't see, a reason to do it when I retire. I would love to travel. I mean, great, but that's a pure luxury. And I'm more concerned, in my case, I'm more concerned about getting the base home. Let's get home base down, okay? And if over the years any additional money for travel is there, great. But that's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on home and hearth and having a solid foundation.
Chindak has been married for more than 40 years. Her husband's a truck driver, and they have no idea what they'll do when he can't drive anymore.
Who wants to be in that situation? Who wants to be in this situation? This video was 11 years ago, and these are videos I would just love to have an update on. I hope they're both in great health and stuff, but you have no idea. You have no idea what happens. I have 2 bad knees. Okay, I came down with knee arthritis in 2018 in my early 50s. As my surgeon said to me, he said, "You kind of, my knees fell apart early." What would happen if I had been in a job where I had to be on my feet all day? I think my lucky stars that, I'm in education. I can stand up and sit down. My mobility is very limited on some days. Some days I can't be on my feet longer than 20 minutes. On a good day, I might be able to stand on it for 45 minutes uninterrupted. It really varies. And oftentimes I will use a brace if I'm going to be out walking around. It all depends upon, how long I'm going to be on my feet. So here she is. She and her husband are. He's a truck driver. With no idea what they're going to do when he quits. What happens if he has to all of a sudden quit because he unfortunately has a major medical condition? Or what happens if he's in a major accident? I think, and I don't want to sound critical, okay? I think you owe it to your spouse to have a plan. I think you owe it to the people you love to have some sort of plan in retirement. Because really what I see here are 2 people, yes, loving, kind, wonderful, 40 years together, that's great. But now are your kids going to have to pick up the tab? And then how is that going to financially affect your children?
We haven't sat down and talked to somebody. I think I'm kind of afraid to. Because then reality's going to set in, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's been afraid to do this for almost 60 years. Let's take away the first 20 years. We'll give her the first 20 years of growing up. So let's make that around 40 years. 40 years of being scared. 40 years of going, I don't want to look at this debt. I can't look at the debt. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of denial.
So do you have any idea what that's going to look like when you finally have to shut down the truck?
Nope.
Have you ever watched those videos on YouTube called van life? Van life is great if you're doing it voluntarily. I mean, heck, put me around in a nice Honda, what is it? One of those, I don't know the name of it. It's one of those really cool Honda vans that people can travel around the country in. It's just so comfortable. Okay, you can put me in one of those as long as I got a good backup plan for a home base. Okay, but there are people who live out of their vans. This is the type of couple that would be living out of their van. Because they had the house, they overspent on stuff, they overspent on the house, probably overspent on Christmas present for the kids, the grandkids, the great-grandkids, and now they have absolutely nothing. So short of them having to live with a relative, this is the type of couple that would be in a van, living literally out of a van.
That's kind of scary, too.
Oh, let's back up for a second. Pardon me. I want you to notice something that I just noticed. Let's back up here for a second. Hold on. Stop. What do you notice? You can tell I'm a teacher because I notice so much stuff, okay? I think teachers, we just have these keen eyes that just zero in on stuff, all right? What do you notice? Let's add up what's on our hand. Now, look, I'm going to be respectful and I'm going to say, some of these are probably obviously mementos, okay? But not knowing what's on her hand other than probably, her engagement ring and wedding ring. Let's just take this from a because I don't know who she is and I don't know what this jewelry represents, okay? But out of respect, because again, I don't know what the jewelry represents, but let's take a look here. I see more stuff. I'm not talking about her wedding ring or anything like that, okay? But is there a common theme throughout this video of what we're seeing? Is there a common theme? When you sit and you say you don't have money for retirement, you say you don't, 40 years passed. Look what's sitting on your shelves. Look what's sitting on your hands. Look at what's sitting on your ears, okay? I have 3 ear piercings in each ear. I think the most money I've probably ever spent for earrings was probably $15. All right. I'm not wearing, $100 diamonds and all of that stuff. But just take a moment, look at what's around you. Again, and this is if you have not saved, you're not saving enough, whatever. Look around you. What do you see? That's all. Again, these probably most likely have some very precious value, so we're not going to overjudge it. But it's just something to observe, something to notice.
That's kind of scary too.
It's quite common to hear that I just don't want to deal with this right now. Well, you have to.
Scott Hanna says,
if I had not started dealing with it, I would say probably about, 4-5 years ago is when I really decided that I needed to turn my finances around. Okay, I've been in control of credit card debt for years. That's been for like over a decade. I've had very, very good control of credit card debt. But just overall making a plan for retirement, buying a piece of property. I was actually afraid to buy property. And the people who know me very well know I was actually afraid to be a property owner. I was afraid of the responsibility of it. I just like, well, what happens if the sink breaks? What happens if the plumbing breaks? And something I learned was I needed to get over that fear. And it was actually through a couple of my close friends that said, Carrie, just get something small. So guess what? I was comfortable with 840 square feet and 1 toilet, 1 kitchen sink. Okay. In other words, to face your fears, it's okay to downsize. Face your fears and do whatever it takes to get that fear down. If I had not faced my fears about owning property, and let me tell you, I was scared to own it. Anybody who knows me would tell you, yeah, I was very scared to own property. If I had not faced that fear, I would be paying $1,800 a month in rent today because I could not, or I thought I couldn't face the fear of owning property. But because I faced that fear, I am telling you, it's what saved me financially. And I bought my condo. I signed for my condo in 2020, 3 weeks before COVID closed the city of Tampa down. That's what facing your fears does. It saves you. And facing your fear in retirement, that can save you too.
even for the Shindaks, it's not too late for financial planning.
While it's regrettable that you may not have dealt with it 10 or 20 years ago, take heart in the fact that you're dealing with it today.
But once again, I'm going to say you need to also accept that if you really did wait until your 60s, it's going to be a very different picture when you have nothing saved. I'm 56, and I like I said earlier, I am so grateful. I've got well over a decade. I've got time. I've already started saving 35%. Yes, 35% of my take-home income is going to retirement. 35%. And I just started doing that because I need a cash savings to complement my Social Security, to complement my teacher pension. I've got time.
Make some decisions today. Well, those decisions are yours about what you can change. So if you haven't been great at managing your money, well, let's change that.
But Shindak knows.
Let's stop again. What do we see? Where does the money go? Now, I'm a pet owner. I've owned, my mother raised us with cats. I had dogs when I was married. But again, when somebody says no money, okay, pets cost money, vet bills cost money. Again, no disrespect. I really want to make sure people understand this, okay? It's just something that we need to maybe become more cognizant about, more aware about, okay? When people say there is no money, where does the money go? And again, I'm a huge pet lover, okay? But the money is there. It really is.
Change wouldn't come easy, and so...
And these actually look like they're, what is it? They look like they could be possibly purebreds. I'm not a dog expert, but these don't look like, just run-of-the-mill dogs. Again, no disrespect.
For now, her retirement plan is simply not thinking about it.
Hold on. Let me grab my root beer here. Not thinking about it. Is that a retirement plan? Not thinking about your student loan. Is that going to pay off your student loan? Not thinking about how you're going to pay your, your car payment, your mortgage. If I had chosen to take this route, and like I said earlier, if I had just decided to go, well, I'm just not going to think about it when it comes to getting a piece of property because I was so scared. I know it sounds odd, but there's a group of this property ownership scares us. And I actually was, like I said, was really through some friends that encouraged me. They said, Carrie, you got to go get it. And then lo and behold, 3 weeks after I signed, city closes, and the condo that I bought for $100,000 is now selling at over $200,000. My unit, okay? Not thinking about it. This is why this was my Scared Straight video.
Ian Hannamansing, CBC News, Surrey.
All right. I'll be back on the other side in just a second with my final thoughts. So, as I stated earlier, this was my Scared Straight video. And it made me realize it doesn't matter how nice of a person you are. It doesn't matter, all the kind things you've done in life. It doesn't matter what job you've held. It doesn't matter even how much money you make. What matters is, do you have a plan? And I think when it comes to student loan debt and people getting out of them, I think it's best that you even try to avoid the debt in the first place without, unless you are tracking exactly where every student loan dollar is going. And what's happening is people are taking out these debts, and it doesn't matter if it's student loan debt, credit card debt, or even a car payment, okay? People are taking out these debts and they have no plan. They didn't have a plan before they took out the debt. They didn't have a plan while they were, in school. And one day the bill just hits them, and it hits them, say, in their, mid, late 20s. And then before you know it, they're 60 years old, and they're now looking at, wage garnishment over their student loan debt, or they're looking at even getting sued by credit card companies. So the purpose of this video really was to show you the video that really stuck with me. There's those life lessons, and this video, for whatever reason, really stuck with me. And so I played internet sleuth and was trying to figure out, how do I find this video? And I feel grateful that I found it. And I'm grateful to these people for sharing their story. I know it's been 11 years. I hope they're in a good spot, okay? But through their story, they taught me that their spot, that's not where I want to be. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you will consider subscribing, and have a great night.